What's up guys, I'm Silverwolf and this is a video about the pros and cons of every Furby generation. I have done a similar video which I will link at the end of the video if I can find it. But it was one of the suggestions, because when I asked people for suggestions about Furby videos, that it was suggested by one of my viewers. So thank you for the suggestion, and this is going to be a quick rundown of the pros and cons of each generation of Furby. So we start with the 90s. Now the good thing about the 90s Furbies is you can play mini-games. They actually learn English, sort of relatively speaking. They're very interactive, they're very fun, they have different voices as well that you can get on them. They've got a myriad of different names. The batteries last a fair amount of time in them, and they come in a range of different colours and generations. The cons, I would say, the gears can drop over time, because obviously they're quite old now. They were made in 98, and some of them can eat batteries, they can get internal issues, and the older they get, the more problems they're going to have. So, not many cons, but those are a few of them. It's mostly just the gears dropping, so your Furby won't work. Even with fresh batteries, you've got to shake it and stuff. So, the next ones, the Furby Babies. There's my little pink Furby baby here. The Furby Baby ones, the pros are they will refer to you either as Mama or Dada, which is pretty cute. They also play a range of games. They are very sweet because they're babies, they remain babies even after they start learning English, unlike the other 90s Furbies which sort of start not knowing much English and are a little bit like a baby but grow up. These ones are babies all the time. They're smaller, the battery lasts a fair amount of time again in them. The cons with them is, oh yeah, and they also come in lovely colours as well. The cons are again the gears dropping because they're old. It doesn't happen as much with the babies as the adults, but it does still happen. Perhaps battery life. Things are more likely to go wrong with them because they're older, but they are fairly easy to fix, which is another pro. Next we move on to the 2005/06 Furbies. Mine is an 06 Funky Furby, and the pros with these guys is they are voice activated. You can say "Hey Furby" to them and then give them a command, which is pretty cool. They are very emototronic, as they call them, which is animatronic, so they're very expressive. They sing songs. They will also dance to music, which is pretty cool as well. They also come with a bottle and or a spoon. I think the babies came with a bottle and the adults came with a spoon, so you can feed them, which is really cute. And they'll tell you, they'll sing songs or tell you the origin of where they came from, which is also really cute. The cons with them, they don't do a massive amount. They don't learn English. Well, no, I tell a lie. They do learn English, okay? I'm not sure how fast or how slow it is, but they do learn to speak English over time. They're not that interactive other than the voice command things. They don't get hungry very often. They can be grumpy, which I consider not to be very good. Also, the ability that they have to talk to each other. You've got to put them belly to belly, and it's quite difficult at times, I think, because of the fluffy fur on their bellies, to get them to actually know that the other Furby's there. So then, that's another con as well. But the biggest con with these is that the battery covers snap very easily. You have to either buy a different battery cover. There were people that used to 3D print them, or you can do what I do, which is you get a washer and a screw and you fix them that way. You can fix them that way because the batteries inside them are vertical, not horizontal like the rest of the Furbies. That is the biggest issue with these guys. Also, the beak rubber over time can degrade and just come away, which is another issue with them. The babies, these are the baby 2005 Furbies. The pros with them, they're cute. You can feed them with a bottle. There's not much else. The cons, they don't do very much. They're constantly miserable. They sleep a lot. They're not often very hungry. They moan a lot as well. I think that the battery cover on it is a little bit better. Yeah, the battery covers aren't as bad on these guys. But they, unfortunately, and it's really, really sad, they just don't do very much. Most of the time they kind of fall over and go to sleep. And they just cry all the time. And I've never been able to get mine to do any different. I think they do communicate with the adults though, but like I said, not many pros with those guys. So we've got the 2012 Furbies. The 2012 Furbies, the pros, depending on whether or not you like it, they change personality. They come in a range of colours, but the colours are kind of limited because they only did one generation of them. The LED eyes and everything are pretty neat. The cons, the batteries don't last as long because of the range of movements with them. They can go wrong. Their ears can come off as well, kind of flimsy. But as far as cons are, there's not really massive ones, except of course they eat batteries more than the rest of them. The Furby Boom, and I'm going through these generation by generation, but the Booms and the 2012's Furbacker, they're all fairly similar. So again, the pros with these, different personalities if you like that. The LED eyes and everything, they're more animated. The eyes are kind of like, gives them more personality. The cons, one of the main cons with all the Furbies after the original two types, you know, the 2005 and the 90s Furbies, they do not learn English. They don't start out with Furbish and learn English. I think that's the biggest con, because the whole idea of a robot that could actually quote unquote learn is probably the best thing about it. Because, I mean, if they didn't actually learn, we all know this, it just unlocked over time. But the idea was there, and it was a good one. And every generation afterwards, they just don't. They speak a mixture of English and Furbish, which is kind of sad. But again, another con with these, well, they eat batteries more so than those before them. We got Furbacker. Now, Furbacker, his pros are Star Wars, obviously. He's Star Wars themed, he looks different, he looks like a Wookiee, he's got lovely soft fur. He sings the music from Star Wars. He sounds like Chewbacca. Really, really good ideas. His animations in his eyes are like spaceships and things like that. Again, brilliant. The cons are, other than him singing and making Wookiee noises and stuff, he really doesn't do a massive amount. He can be grumpy. Again, he eats the batteries about the same amount as the Booms and the 2012s. Furby crystals, they are again similar to all the other ones, the Booms and that. The best thing about these guys is the colours. I absolutely adore the colours that they came out with. They're really, really fun and bright, and if you like that kind of thing, and let's face it, a lot of kids and that do like that kind of thing, it's fantastic. A lot of people also had the con in that they didn't really come out in natural colours, but as they sort of moved along the Furby lines, they started bringing them out in more and more wacky colours, as opposed to the original Furbies, which were kind of more normal colours. But yeah, these guys' colours were brilliant. They have the changing personalities again. The cons, again, possibly eating through batteries, and the ears, again, a bit flimsier than the ones before, because they're kind of on stalks like this. But I mean, I've got a Christmas sweater Furby that I taxidermied basically, and in all honesty, if your kid or whatever manages to tear the ear off these, it's kind of a very strong kid, because I tried to get the ears off because I was going to do something, you know, reattach them and stuff in a different way when I took the Furby apart, and the ears are actually they're fairly sturdy, so they can come off obviously, but it's kind of difficult to get them off. But it is still a con. The ears could get broken because they're flapping about there. And finally we have the Furby Connect. Now, the Furby Connect was completely different to everything before it. The pros are they do amazing talking to each other, amazing duets. You can have 4 of them. I mean, they only talk two and two, but if you've got 4 of them together, it does sound really cool. They work with Bluetooth, which is neat. The fur is super soft. I think they came in 5 colours, but the fur is like really soft. The cons, and there are quite a few unfortunately, they were made to do more than they ever were allowed to do. And we know this by basically hacking them and seeing what programs were in them. And there was things like, I think they were going to do different sleep masks that changed their personalities, because their personality doesn't change. So the con is they were never popular enough, unfortunately, for them to unlock these other features, which is really sad. Likewise, the app, another con is the theatre in the app does no longer work. and because of that the Furby doesn't learn new songs. Unfortunately, the year that these came out, Hatchimals came out as well, and Hatchimals just did way better. It's like with the Furby 2005s. That year Furreal Friends were released and they just did better, and the Furbies just got knocked to one side. The ears of these do break. They are a little bit more flimsy than the others, and I've known kids to actually pull them off by accident and whatever. They don't change personality, but to be fair, I like the personalities as they are. They speak a lot of English. They don't speak as much Furbish. But yeah, there's a lot of potential there, and it was never lived because after the year they were released, they just didn't do anything else with them, which is super sad, and that's the biggest con of all, I think. Also, they do tend to eat batteries because they are moving all the time, flapping their ears and singing and everything else. Another pro with them though is that when you tilt them back and that, they're quite sensitive and that you can rock them off to sleep, which I think is really cute. And another pro is that they do have coloured LEDs in their eyes, which is really cool. You get animations of corgis and whatever, but of course the con that balances that out is that the movie theatre doesn't work anymore, so you don't get all the dances and things with them, which again, super sad really. They had a lot of potential and it wasn't lived. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this. I will try and find the other video as well. I can't remember what I called it now, but I will find it, so you can check that out below. As always, feel free to check out my Etsy and New Monday stores. I have custom plushies including Furbies, and I take commissions, or you can buy me a coffee on Ko-fi. It always helps because I work from home as a freelance artist, so all of this is my living. So with that being said, stay safe, stay healthy and keep being awesome. This is Silver signing off.